Commander Stone stood at the massive window of the Galactic Council chamber, his scaled hands clasped behind his back. Below him, the capital city of the Council sparkled with the light of 1,000 different species' architectural styles. Yet none of them matched the harsh, angular beauty of Ravager construction. His people had earned the right to dominate the skyline, just as they dominated the galaxy. The morning's council session would begin soon. Stone allowed himself a small, sharp-toothed smile. These meetings had become routine over his 50 cycles as the Ravager representative. The lesser species would argue about trade routes, resource allocation, and development rights. Then, as always, they would turn to the Ravagers for final approval. How could they not? His people were the only ones strong enough to survive on a true death world. "Commander," a soft voice called from behind him. "The session will begin in 10 minutes. Stone turned to face his assistant, one of the avian Brightfeathers. The small creature barely reached his waist, its delicate frame a reminder of why the Ravagers ruled. "Thank you, Swift," he said, using the simplified name he'd given the aide. "Any unusual items on today's agenda?" "Just one, Commander." Swift's feathers rippled with nervous energy. The Deep Space Survey team reported unusual energy signatures from System 2547b. The readings suggest advanced technology. But what? Stone's interest peaked. New civilizations were rare these days. The signals come from the third planet. It's classified as a Class 12 death world. No known species could survive there. Swift's wing hands trembled as he handed over the datapad. Stone's yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the readings. The planet's gravity was 1.3 times stronger than his homeworld. The atmospheric pressure was crushing by most species standards. Temperature swings between regions could exceed 100 degrees. Constant tectonic activity, powerful storms, and aggressive wildlife made it even worse. "Impossible," he muttered. "Nothing could develop intelligence in those conditions. It must be automated equipment, perhaps ancient mining operations." The chamber's warning chimes sounded, calling the council to order. Stone straightened his ceremonial armor and strode to his elevated position. As always, the other representatives gave him a wide berth. Fear and respect. The natural order of things. The council leader, a crystalline being from a low-gravity world, began the session. Stone half-listened to the usual debates, his mind still on System 2547b. Something about those energy readings bothered him. They were too irregular for automated systems. And finally, the leader's translated voice pulled Stone back to attention. "We have the Deep Space Survey report." The holographic display in the chamber center lit up with images of the mysterious planet. Gasps echoed through the chamber as the data scrolled past. Stone leaned forward, his claws digging into his desk's surface. "These readings suggest a civilization," one representative said. "But that's clearly impossible. The conditions are similar to our homeworld," Stone interrupted, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "But even more extreme. If there is intelligent life there," he left the implications hanging. The chamber erupted in worried discussions. The Ravagers had dominated galactic politics for centuries because they were unique, the only species tough enough to evolve on a world that would kill most beings in minutes. Their physical superiority was unquestioned. Until now. Stone made his decision. The Ravager Empire will send an expedition to investigate these readings. If there is a civilization on that world, we must welcome them to the galactic community. The other representatives relaxed slightly. They knew what welcome meant in Ravager terms: establish dominance quickly, before any potential rival could grow too strong. As the session ended, Stone returned to the window. Somewhere out there, System 2547b's star shone among countless others. His people had grown comfortable in their power, proud of their unique heritage as Deathworlders. The thought that another species might share that distinction was both thrilling and disturbing. "Prepare my ship," he ordered Swift. "I will lead this expedition myself." The Ravager commander didn't know it yet, But his species' unquestioned supremacy was about to face its greatest challenge. On a planet they had dismissed as uninhabitable, humanity was waiting. Commander Stone's flagship emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of System 2547b. The massive vessel, built to withstand the crushing gravity of the Ravager homeworld, dwarfed the 5 support ships accompanying it. Stone stood on the bridge, his yellow eyes fixed on the main display screen. "Scan the third planet," he ordered. "Full spectrum analysis." The crew worked quickly, their scaled fingers dancing across control panels. Data began flowing across the screens, and Stone's expression darkened. The energy signatures were stronger now, forming clear patterns. Not just technology, but a civilization. "Commander," his science officer called out, "we're detecting thousands of artificial satellites. And ships. They're moving between the planet and its moon." Stone's claws clicked against his armor as he processed this information. "Show me their vessels." The screen filled with images of human spacecraft. They were smaller than Ravager ships, but their design showed clear signs of advanced engineering. Most surprising was their efficiency. These weren't the crude attempts of a primitive species, but the work of an established spacefaring civilization. "Sir, we're being hailed," the communications officer announced. "The signal is coming from a station in orbit." "Put it through," Stone commanded, straightening to his full height. First impressions were crucial in Ravager culture. The screen lit up, and Stone found himself facing something he'd never expected. A being that looked almost fragile, with soft pink skin and no natural armor. Yet this creature stood straight and confident, wearing a blue uniform with silver markings. "This is Captain Thomas of the Earth Defense Force. You've entered regulated space. Please identify yourself and state your intentions." Stone was momentarily thrown off by the direct approach. Most species cowered at first sight of a Ravager. "I am Commander Stone of the Ravager Empire, dominant force in the Galactic Council. We detected your civilization and came to evaluate it." The human showed no sign of fear. Instead, he smiled. A gesture Stone would later learn meant friendliness, not aggression. "Welcome to Earth, Commander. Would you like to dock at our station for face-to-face discussions?" "You would allow an unknown alien fleet to approach your station?" Stone asked, suspicious of such openness. Captain Thomas's smile widened slightly. "Commander, if you scan again, you'll notice our defense grid is fully operational. We're being friendly, not foolish. You're welcome as guests, but we're prepared for any other possibility." Stone ordered another scan, and his tactical officer's jaw dropped. Hundreds of weapon platforms had just decloaked around Earth and its moon. The Ravager fleet was surrounded. "Impressive," Stone admitted. "We accept your invitation." 3 hours later, Stone found himself walking through the space station's corridors. The gravity was stronger than his homeworld, yet the humans moved easily, some even running for exercise. The air was denser too, but they breathed it without effort. During the diplomatic meeting, Stone learned more about Earth. The humans hadn't just survived their death world. They had thrived on it. They spoke of climbing mountains for fun, swimming in vast oceans, and racing across deserts. Their cities existed in every climate, from frozen wastes to tropical jungles. "Your world," Stone said carefully, "it's more hostile than even our homeworld. How did your species become dominant?" Captain Thomas considered the question. "We never thought of Earth as hostile. It's just home. When something's difficult, we don't give up. We adapt, we invent, we overcome. It's what humans do." As Stone prepared to return to his ship, he received a message from the Galactic Council. Other representatives were demanding immediate information about the newly discovered species. Stone looked out a window at Earth below, its surface a swirl of blue oceans, white clouds, and green-brown continents. His people had always assumed their physical strength made them superior. Now he wondered if they had been wrong all along. Looking at Captain Thomas, Stone realized the galaxy was about to change forever. The Ravagers weren't the only Deathworlders anymore, and these humans were nothing like what they had expected. The great doors of the Galactic Council chamber swung open, and Captain Reed walked in with steady steps. The Earth representative didn't show any sign that the lower gravity made him uncomfortable, though it felt like he might float away with each step. Around him, the chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of species, all trying to get their first look at a human. Commander Stone watched from his elevated position, noting how the other representatives reacted. The crystalline beings from low-gravity worlds shimmered with anxiety. The gas-filled environment suits of the Methane Brothers vibrated as they whispered among themselves. Even the plant-based species had turned their sensor leaves toward the human. "Welcome, representative of Earth," the council leader's translated voice echoed through the chamber. "Please take your assigned position." Reed's platform rose to the middle level of the chamber, a deliberate insult orchestrated by the Ravagers. New species typically started at the bottom level. But Reed simply smiled and nodded to the council leader. "Thank you for welcoming Earth to the Galactic Council," Reed said, his voice clear and confident. "We look forward to sharing knowledge and building friendships with all species." A Ravager diplomat named Claw rose from his seat. "Friendship? Your species has barely left its gravity well. What could you possibly offer the galaxy?" Reed's response was to reach into his pocket and pull out a small device. He pressed a button, and a holographic display filled the center of the chamber. It showed humans in different environments. Deep-sea researchers walking on the ocean floor, scientists working inside a volcano, explorers crossing the Antarctic ice, and astronauts repairing satellites in space. "We adapt," Reed said simply. "It's what humans do best. Where others see barriers, we see challenges to overcome. We've learned to survive and thrive in every environment on our world, which, as Commander Stone can confirm, is classified as more dangerous than any inhabited planet in the Council's records." A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Stone noticed several representatives from smaller worlds leaning forward with interest. "Parlor tricks," Claw sneered. "Show us your warships, your weapons. Prove you can defend your claims." "We could," Reed replied calmly. "But we'd rather show you this." He changed the hologram to display human medical facilities. "Our harsh world taught us to heal quickly. We've developed treatments that work across different biologies. We can help species survive in environments they never thought possible." The methane-breathing representative spoke up. "You mean we could walk on solid ground?" "With the right equipment and treatments, yes. We've already adapted our life support systems for various atmospheric needs." Reed gestured to his simple uniform. "This fabric, it regulates temperature, filters toxins, and can harden instantly to protect against impacts. We developed it for our industrial workers, but it could help your people explore new worlds." Stone watched as the chamber's mood shifted. Where there had been suspicion, now he saw interest. The human wasn't boasting about weapons or strength. He was offering to help others overcome their limitations. A small, floating being drifted forward. "How did your species develop such technologies?" "Necessity," Reed answered. "When you evolve on a world that's trying to kill you, you learn to be creative. But more importantly, you learn to work together. Every human achievement came from cooperation, from combining different ideas and perspectives." Stone suddenly understood why the humans were so dangerous. His people, the Ravagers, had dominated through strength and fear. But these humans, they would change the galaxy simply by helping others become stronger. As the council session continued, more representatives began asking questions, not about Earth's military or industrial capacity, but about cooperation, trade, and cultural exchange. The humans were making allies without firing a shot. Stone caught Reed's eye across the chamber. The human gave him a small nod, not a challenge, but an invitation. The message was clear. The galaxy was changing, and even the Ravagers would need to adapt or be left behind. Ambassador Wilson stood in the ruins of what had been Earth's newest colony on Delta 9. The mining accident had destroyed most of the main habitat dome, yet somehow all 50 human colonists had survived. He knelt and picked up a twisted piece of metal, turning it over in his hands. Another accident? Captain Reed asked, walking up behind him. That's the third one this month. Wilson nodded, his expression grim. The Ravagers are getting sloppy. They left traces this time. He pointed to marks on the metal that could only have been made by Ravager plasma cutters. Sir, a young colonist ran up to them. You need to see this. We found something in the backup systems. They followed her to a still-functioning computer terminal. The screen showed security footage from just before the explosion. A shadow moved through the maintenance tunnels, a figure too large to be human, with the distinctive scaled armor of a Ravager. Send this to the Council, Wilson ordered. But first, show them what happened after the explosion. The next clips showed humans in action. Colonists running into burning sections to rescue trapped companions. Engineers jury-rigging emergency shelters from damaged equipment. Medics treating injuries in the toxic outside atmosphere. What should have been a massacre had instead demonstrated human resilience. Back on the Galactic Council station, Commander Stone watched the same footage with growing frustration. How? He demanded of his advisors. The explosion should have killed them all. Humans are. His science officer hesitated. Adaptable. They had emergency protocols we didn't know about. Their bodies can take more punishment than we thought. And he seemed almost embarrassed. They go back to help each other, even when it's dangerous. Stone slammed his fist on the table. They're spreading too fast. 3 new colonies this cycle. Trade agreements with 12 species. Medical technology sharing with the Methane Brothers. They're undermining everything. There's more, another advisor said quietly. We found proof they know about the suppression program. Stone went still. For centuries, the Ravagers had secretly held back other species development. A pushed research station into the wrong orbit here, a destroyed prototype there. But the humans had discovered this secret. And worse, they were helping those same species rebuild. The chamber doors burst open, and a junior officer rushed in. Commander, the humans, they survived the ice planet test. Stone's eyes widened. They had arranged for a human survey team to crash on a planet with temperatures below -200 degrees. Impossible. Nothing could survive there. They built shelters in the ice, used the ship's reactor for heat. They're already mounting a rescue mission. The officer's scales were pale with shock. And sir, 3 other species have offered to help them. Meanwhile, on the ice planet's surface, the human survey team huddled in their makeshift shelter. They had turned the crashed ship's hull into a bunker, using skills learned from Arctic survival training on Earth. Their distress beacon was broadcasting on all frequencies. Think it was really an accident? One scientist asked, checking their makeshift heater. About as accidental as the colony explosion. The team leader replied. But the Ravagers don't understand us. On Earth, we've lived in the Arctic, in deserts, in space. This, she gestured at the frozen wasteland outside. This is just another challenge. Their radio crackled. Multiple ships were responding to their signal, not just human vessels, but ships from species they'd helped in the past. The Ravagers' attempt to isolate them had backfired, showing instead how many allies humanity had made. In his office, Ambassador Wilson read the rescue reports and smiled. The Ravagers thought they were exposing human weakness. Instead, they were showing the galaxy humanity's greatest strength, the ability to survive anything and to help others do the same. Send a message to the Council, he told his aide. Tell them Earth is formally protesting these accidents. It's time to confront the Ravagers openly. The game of shadows was ending. Soon, the galaxy would learn the full truth about both humanity's capabilities and the Ravagers' centuries of manipulation. The massive Ravager warfleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Earth's newest colony world, New Hope. 30 warships, each bristling with weapons, moved into attack formation. Commander Stone stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the human defenses, a mere 5 ships and some orbital platforms. "Send the message," Stone ordered. "Surrender or be destroyed." The response came instantly, but not from the colony. A new fleet of ships appeared behind the Ravagers, Earth's main battle group. They had predicted the attack and set a trap. "This is Admiral Foster of the Earth Defense Force," a calm voice announced over the comm. "We have you surrounded. Stand down." Stone laughed. "You think your handful of ships can match the might of the Ravager Empire? We've dominated the galaxy for centuries." "Look again, Commander." More ships appeared, dropping their stealth fields. But these weren't human vessels. The Methane Brothers' crystalline ships glittered like stars. The low-gravity species' massive carriers emerged from behind New Hope's moon. Even the plant-based species had sent their living ships, grown from space-adapted vegetation. Stone's tactical officer's voice shook. "Sir, we're outnumbered 3-1. "Impossible," Stone roared. "These species are too weak to fight us." "Not anymore," Admiral Foster replied. "While you were trying to sabotage our colonies, we were helping them overcome their limitations. Amazing what people can do when they work together instead of being held back." Stone's answer was to open fire. The space around New Hope erupted in battle. The Ravagers expected an easy victory. Their ships were stronger, their weapons more powerful, but they had never fought humans before. Earth's ships darted between the larger Ravager vessels, too quick to hit. They had learned combat in Earth's oceans, where movement was three-dimensional. Space warfare came naturally to them. Their allies attacked from all sides, using tactics humans had helped them develop. On New Hope's surface, colonists watched the battle through their observatory dome. Children who had grown up in higher gravity than even the Ravagers could handle played quietly in the background, unafraid. "Look," one colonist shouted, pointing at a Ravager ship trying to break through to attack the colony. Two human ships moved to intercept. Instead of firing, they launched what looked like giant nets made of energy. The Ravager ship's engines died instantly. "EMP Web," the colony's engineer explained, "designed it based on deep-sea fishing nets. Ravager ships are strong, but their electronics are vulnerable." In space, Stone watched in horror as his fleet's advantage crumbled. Human ships seemed to anticipate their every move. When Ravager vessels focused their fire on one target, that ship would vanish. Holographic decoys, technology shared by the crystalline species. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we've lost 12 ships. The others are surrounded. And," he paused, "the humans are offering to rescue our crews." "What?" "They're sending medical ships to the damaged vessels. Even after we attack them, they're saving our people." Stone stared at the battle display in disbelief. His mighty fleet was being defeated not just by humans, but by the very species his people had oppressed for generations. And now those humans were showing mercy to their defeated enemies. Admiral Foster's voice came over the comm again. "Commander Stone, this is your last chance. Surrender, and we'll ensure your crews are safe. Continue fighting, and you'll learn exactly how creative humans can be in combat." Stone looked at his burning fleet, at the combined forces arrayed against him, and at the human medical ships already rescuing Ravager survivors. In that moment, he finally understood. Humans hadn't just matched the Ravagers' strength. They had surpassed it by making everyone around them stronger. "This is Commander Stone," he said heavily. "The Ravager fleet surrenders." The battle was over, but its impact would echo through the galaxy. The age of Ravager dominance had ended, broken not by force alone, but by humanity's greatest weapons: cooperation, innovation, and the willingness to help others rise alongside them. 1 month after the Battle of New Hope, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. The rigid hierarchy of platforms had been replaced by a circular arrangement where all species sat as equals. Commander Stone, now serving as a simple representative, watched as humans transformed the galaxy in ways he had never imagined. Ambassador Wilson stood at the center of the chamber, presenting the newly formed Alliance Charter. Behind him, representatives from 20 different species waited to sign, including several former Ravager enemies. "The age of separation is over," Wilson announced. "Today, we share our strengths and help each other overcome our weaknesses." In the medical bay below the council chamber, human doctors worked alongside alien healers. A methane breather walked on solid ground for the first time, protected by a suit designed using both human and crystalline technology. Nearby, a low-gravity species learned to handle higher gravity using medical treatments developed on Earth. "It's amazing," the methane breather said, taking careful steps. "We thought we were trapped forever in our environmental suits, but your people showed us another way." Wilson smiled. "Humans have a saying, 'Necessity is the mother of invention.' On Earth, we had to adapt to every kind of environment. Now we can help others do the same." In another part of the station, Captain Reed led a training session for mixed-species crews. Former enemies now worked side by side, learning from each other's strengths. A Ravager engineer watched in surprise as a tiny crystalline being showed him how to improve his ship's engine efficiency. "Your people were never weak," Reed explained to the Ravager. "You were just looking at strength the wrong way. The crystalline species may be fragile physically, but their understanding of energy fields is unmatched. Together, we're all stronger." On various worlds across the galaxy, changes were spreading rapidly. Human teachers helped low-gravity species build special training facilities to safely experience higher gravity. Plant-based beings learned Earth farming techniques to grow food in harsh environments. Even the Ravagers found themselves learning new ways of thinking. Back in the council chamber, Wilson continued presenting the Alliance's plans. "We're establishing joint research centers on every member world. New Hope will host the first one, symbolizing our commitment to cooperation." Stone listened as Wilson explained how humans would share their adaptability. Special suits would let methane breathers explore oxygen worlds. Medical treatments would help species survive in different gravities. Training programs would teach others how to overcome environmental challenges. But most importantly, Wilson emphasized, "We want to learn from you too. Each species has unique strengths and insights. Together, we can solve problems none of us could handle alone." A small, floating being drifted forward. "The Ravagers tried to keep us dependent on them, but humans show us how to be independent while still working together. How do you balance this?" Wilson's answer was simple. "On Earth, we learned that true strength comes from diversity. Different cultures, different ideas, different approaches, they all make us better. We don't want to control you. We want to grow with you." The chamber erupted in approving sounds from various species. Stone watched as former rivals began discussing joint projects. The humans had done something the Ravagers never considered. They had made the galaxy's differences into strengths rather than weaknesses. As the session ended, Wilson approached Stone. "Your people are welcome to join us as equals," he offered. "We can learn from you too." Stone looked around at the changed chamber, at the mixed groups working together, at the new possibilities emerging. His people had ruled through force, but humans led through inspiration. It was a revolution without weapons, a victory without destruction. "Perhaps," Stone replied slowly, "it's time for the Ravagers to learn some new ways." Wilson nodded, understanding that this was just the beginning. Across the galaxy, species that had once lived in fear were learning to reach for the stars together. Humanity hadn't just survived as Deathworlders. They had shown the galaxy how to thrive. 5 years after the Battle of New Hope, Earth hosted the first Galactic Unity Festival. The streets of New Delhi buzzed with visitors from 100 different worlds. Environmental suits had become so advanced that even methane breathers could walk freely among humans, while anti-gravity technology helped heavy worlders move comfortably in Earth's gravity. Admiral Foster, now retired, stood atop the newly completed Galactic Exchange Tower, watching the celebrations below. Beside him, Commander Stone, who had become one of the strongest supporters of human-led changes, observed the scene with wonder. "I never thought I'd see this," Stone admitted. "A Ravager walking next to a crystalline being, both comfortable on a world we once called uninhabitable." Foster smiled. That's not even the most impressive part. He pointed to a group of children playing in a park, human kids alongside young aliens from various species. That's our real victory. The next generation won't know a galaxy divided by fear. In the orbital stations above Earth, more changes were visible. Ships from every species came and went freely, their designs showing a blend of technologies. The old Ravager warships had been transformed into exploration vessels, their powerful hulls perfect for protecting scientific expeditions to dangerous worlds. At the main spaceport, Ambassador Wilson prepared to welcome the newest member of the Alliance, a species that had evolved on a water world and had been previously dismissed as too primitive by the Ravagers. Their delegation emerged from their ship in suits that let them move in air while staying hydrated. "Welcome to Earth," Wilson said warmly. "We have much to learn from your people's expertise in ocean environments." The water world representative rippled their fin-like appendages in joy, "And we are eager to learn how you mastered the dry lands. Together, perhaps we can explore worlds we never thought possible." In the research district, Captain Reed led a tour for young officers from various species. They passed laboratories where humans and aliens worked side by side, solving problems that had once seemed impossible. A massive hologram showed the hundreds of new colonies established by mixed species teams, each one a testament to their combined abilities. The old Galactic Council thought strength came from dominance, Reed explained to his group. But Earth taught us something different. Real strength comes from lifting each other up, from combining our unique abilities to overcome any challenge. A young Ravager officer raised her hand. "Is it true that humans were never physically stronger than my people?" Reed nodded. "Technically, Ravagers still have greater physical strength. Crystalline beings still have better energy manipulation. Methan brothers still process information faster. But humans, we're good at bringing people together, at finding new solutions, at adapting and helping others adapt." In the evening, as the festival reached its peak, all eyes turned to the sky. A massive display showed real-time images from the first joint expedition to a newly discovered Deathworld. The team included humans, Ravagers, and representatives from 10 other species, all working together to study its extreme environment. 10 years ago, Stone said to Foster, "We thought we were superior because we could survive on harsh worlds. Now look at us, working together to explore worlds that would kill any single species alone." Foster watched as fireworks lit up the sky, their colors mixing with the natural bioluminescence of some alien visitors. That's the real lesson Earth taught the galaxy. It's not about being the strongest or the toughest. It's about working together, adapting, and helping each other grow. As the celebrations continued into the night, news came in from across the galaxy. New medical breakthroughs, successful colonies, scientific discoveries, all made possible by cooperation between species. Earth had become more than just another world in the Alliance. It was a symbol of what was possible when different species worked together. The age of single-species dominance was over. In its place, a new galactic civilization had emerged, one where the combined strengths of all species created something greater than any could achieve alone. And it all started because humans refused to accept that a death world should limit what was possible.